Shoutouts to the artists who allowed me to use their fantastic artworks in my videos, and of course, spoiler warning. But let us begin. This question I was asked some time ago during a lore Q&A stream on my channel, and there I answered the question wrong. I said the Fifth Army would be the Eagles, but that seems not to be the case. In The Hobbit we find the correct answer. So began a battle that none had expected, and it was called the Battle of Five Armies, and it was very terrible. Upon one side were the goblins and the wild wolves, and upon the other were elves and men and dwarves. Even in the first edition of The Hobbit, so the original release from 1937, we find the exact same sentence, with only one small difference: wild is not yet written with a capital letter. For those who don't know, for the release of The Lord of the Rings, Tolkien changed The Hobbit in some parts a little bit, mainly in the chapter Riddles in the Dark, to make it fit more to the story of The Lord of the Rings. This version is then called the second edition. He later even considered to rewrite all of it. I think it was in the 60s. He even wrote, I think, 3 chapters for this already, published in History of the Hobbit. I think Matt, Nerd of the Rings, made a video about this recently. One could say now, case closed, question answered, thank you for watching, see you next time. But isn't it kind of strange that the wild wolves are the Fifth Army and not the Eagles? And there's actually a bit more to this than you might think, because Tolkien definitely had a lot of different iterations during the time he wrote The Hobbit. And that is something I would like to look into a bit today. First of all, let us look at some arguments why one could even think that the Eagles might be considered the fifth faction or Fifth Army. The battle in the book is quite different from how Peter Jackson depicts it in his film adaptation, which should surprise no one. In the original, the battle reaches a point where it was not going all that well for our heroes, but then Dóin Ironfoot, that is the Old Norse pronunciation, joined the battle and victory seemed at hand. But then a new wave of orcs followed and things started to look grim again, especially with the enemies having the advantage of the higher ground. Thorin then made a powerful rallying cry towards dwarves, elves and men as a last resort, and though this led to winning back some ground, their numbers were ultimately too small to defeat the goblins, and the Free Peoples were slowly pushed back again towards their defeat. But then Bilbo saw something in the air and shouted, "The Eagles! The Eagles!" This and the arrival of Beorn made at the end the difference in this battle, because the Eagles could attack the goblins on the high ground and neutralize their advantage. Further, Beorn was just mowing through their rows and just throwing them left and right like feathers, as Tolkien wrote. So just looking at the text, one can definitely argue that the Eagles had a huge impact on this battle and maybe would qualify to be the Fifth Army in this battle. As a result, if you have forgotten about this particular quote from the beginning of the video, it is not surprising that many people, me included, might consider the Eagles the Fifth Army. Of course, there are also arguments against the Eagles. First of all, there were not that many. Do they really count as army then? And also, the statement who were the participants of this battle was made before the Eagles arrived. This would have spoiled their coming later in the battle. So if Tolkien wanted to place this statement earlier, prior to the Eagles arriving, it made no sense naming them there. Further, you have to also consider that this is Bilbo's perspective and he might be an unreliable narrator here, because he got hit by a stone and became unconscious. And then Gandalf told him what happened after that. Though he saw the eagles in the distance, Bilbo did not see what they actually did in battle. So he only has Gandalf's perspective here. In addition, Tolkien also mentions a host of orcs entering the fight, and they also do some work in battle, so of course they can count as an army by themselves as well and don't need necessarily to be counted towards the goblins. In this context, the host of orcs is also mentioned before Bilbo becomes unconscious. If we now consider all these arguments, we can come to several conclusions. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream, nice to see you all here. Sorry for being a bit late as always, but things like these happens. yeah, it would be maybe smart to change the video. The problem is I often delete the video from my hard drive and put it to an external hard drive. So I don't have the video files always available for my streams. It's the simple reason for this phenomenon. I should have used the Helm, the Wolf Rohirrim analysis video or so. But yeah, whatever. Also, welcome, Godfrey. Welcome everybody in the stream, also on Twitch. Welcome Udi Red and Schnarke, and also here Rose, Mary, and Iris Aurelian, Davionical Fan, Mosin, and so on. Nice to see you all here. I tried to join late. Unfortunately, looks like the strong female complaints are... Yeah, I also heard some of those already. But yeah, we will potentially discuss. I'm very curious what people here, especially in my community, think of that. Also, am I on the wrong scene? No, I'm not. Kind of strange, isn't it? But whatever. Yeah, we have the trailer. I didn't even prepare this. I wouldn't say the stream is spontaneous, but it was a bit, what to say, hectic to get this here set up. And so on. So as a result, it's basically like always where I'm not enough or well enough prepared, but we will see. I already made my analysis video. I this time decided to make this first and then do a live stream, because I felt like, yeah, maybe be fast this time on your analysis video, which is already out on this channel. If you're interested in this, I basically tell everybody what I'm saying. You could probably have music or a mix loop before the stream. I do this. The problem with music is always the claiming stuff. It's unfortunately always an annoying topic if you're online. Just playing some music is not a thing you can just simply do. If I can do, for example, the YouTube sound library, but I'm also streaming to Twitch right now, and as a result, the stuff that is allowed on YouTube is not allowed on Twitch for the Twitch people, if that makes sense. So there is then conflict potential. So that would get the video there, the stream there claimed, and so on. So I don't know what to do there. Make an iMusic video, problem solved. Well, that's maybe an option, but I'm not sure if it's a good one. So yeah, I already made the analysis of this. Let me just get the trailer here set up. There are two trailers, interestingly. When I made my analysis video, I didn't know that the Japanese trailer... Oh, be careful with the sound. The Japanese trailer would actually be different from the trailer the other folks on this universe got. On this side of the world got. So it's a bit unfortunate. It has quite a few more scenes than the other trailer. One thing I didn't want to spoil, and I'm not sure if you people have seen it. Good evening, Killswitch. Nice to see you there as well. So it's time again to talk about Lord of the Rings stuff. It's, yeah, your favorite time of the day, I guess. No, that is wrong. That looks better. So we have like a ton of issues here with content stuff going on. The main issue, of course, is I had to do my analysis video several times because I originally had trailer footage in it that moved, and then my video got claimed. So I had to basically re-edit the whole video and make it that it has only stills in it. Then it was not claimed. So yeah, awesome. Thanks. Huge fan of promotional material being claimed on YouTube. It's fun. It reminds me of the old days, like 2013. But it seems film companies haven't reached. I mean, you can understand if I play the trailer with sound that it gets claimed. Okay, that's one thing. But just me talking over the trailer, come on, people, that does not need to be claimed. it is frustrating. It's, I would say, infuriating. It's just very annoying because when I do this, I lose control, for example, where ad shows in the video, and then I have like an ad every 4 minutes or something in the video, and then people complain, why are there so many ads on YouTube? That is one reason. The other reason is that some creators just press the auto plays ad button and then it plays also every 4 minutes. I only try to have like one ad at the beginning and at the end, and if it's longer than, let's say, 30 minutes or so, I place one in the middle, kind of. Salutations, welcome, nice to see you. Yeah, the problem is, especially with film stuff, like if you have a channel, even big channels struggle with claims and stuff all the time, because you need to be whitelisted for this. I assume, like, I'm not sure if Nerd of the Rings did also like analysis video or breakdown video of the trailer. I would assume he is whitelisted. Could imagine. So there's that. Then we have to contact at some point people. I don't know. I guess usually I work with stills anyway. That's usually less of a problem. I don't want, he didn't add it, and I don't know if he has actually. We could maybe check it really quick. If he has moved footage in his video. Like if you see somebody who has either his video got claimed or he's whitelisted. Following too many people, and it takes a moment to find him. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he has moved footage in it at the beginning and so on. He also uses, of course, stills and etc. At least some scenes, they're very short. Maybe I should have also used shorter scenes or so. But whatever, it doesn't matter too much. Now we are here and can hopefully discuss a bit the thing. So now that a few people here in chat and might be interested, I'm really curious, like, you know, my opinion. I was positively surprised when it comes to the trailer. What is your opinion in chat? Like, did you like the trailer? Like, there are definitely certain things that can be debatable, like having olifants and what great eagles and the watch in the waters in the trailer. I think that's just pure fan service, but it's not unusual to have fan service in your movie thing. The question is, why there's so much fan service in movie stuff? Because I would assume it works. That's most likely the simple answer to that question. Let's see what anyway, Girlpower Third Action told me that is potentially something we might discuss. I already have some discussions about this in my comment section of the analysis video, where people basically say, well, doesn't need to be, and Otaku Senpai basically makes a good point here. The female character, let me see if I can bring this production-wise here on screen. Where is she? Here she is. All I need to do, we have to work with YouTube stills. I won't play. I tried to make the stream without the stream getting claimed, chat. Awesome, isn't it? But yeah, her name is Hera. Not sure if we have old English experts here in chat who maybe could discuss a bit what the name might mean. My speculation, when like looking up into some dictionaries, I found only that it could mean something like follower, servant or so, but Herr could also mean something like noble, so who knows? But yeah, if Hera, that's the potentially protagonist, because she appears a lot in the trailers, doesn't overshadow some of the other characters too much, then it might be okay. So I guess that's maybe the first point we can talk about. I think the idea of not having this man here, the protagonist, is actually quite smart on multiple ways. For one, you can go with this strong female character, which is popular in these days, and I mean, some people might be sick of it, whatever. It's a different topic, but I definitely think that that's not a bad decision, just from a story standpoint. And the reason is you need a character that is actually, like, if you want to have a main character where we're talking about a film here. Yeah, it's not a series where you can have, I don't know, different character perspectives of 10 different characters and have 4 or 8 seasons and each, I don't know, 10 episodes or something. It's different in film. They have 130 minutes, I think. It's 2 hours and 10, something like that, lengthwise. And you have to really plan your character plots and who has how much screen time quite a bit in advance. And I think when it comes to potential perspectives for main characters, that kind of where the main focus of the film is on, you need a character that is always present. And if you go in your head, I assume most people are book fans, so a small spoiler warning here as well. Most characters in the story are simply not present. This is a story where a lot of characters die, and you need somebody who is present at all times. And luckily in the story there is a daughter of Helm, which we don't know what happens to her. Like, we know nothing about her. She's basically a white page. You can do what story-wise, so you have a lot of potential, or a lot of free space developing something here. We have the idea of the Shield Maidens of Rohan, so they can go this route, which also goes in the direction of Eowyn, and Miranda Otto is also narrating the film, and potentially tells the story to someone from the perspective of Eowyn again. So that is also, I think, an important detail. The other character where this might work would be Helm's sister Hild, but you can make the argument that Hild is with her son Frealaf. That is also another character. Some people say, but Frealaf should be the main character. The problem with Frealaf is he is not present at the siege of the Hornburg. He's not there. He comes later into this, after a lot of sieging already happened, potentially after Helm is dead and so on. Like I said, spoilers. Oh, nice. Cluth Fangol is also here. Still from Scotland. Oh, awesome. So I think the move to have not one of these other 3 characters you see here on the screen, plus I'm not sure where the other dude is. Where's Frealaf? There's one character in the trailer where I assume it's Frealaf. Wait, just to be, because like I said, I don't want to get the video claimed again, because it's hardly annoying if stuff gets claimed. So I assume this man here, I'm not sure if you can see my mouse, you can see, I think this man here is Frealaf, I could imagine. This is the son of Helm. I assume it's Hammer or Hales. So this could also be a potential character. But as I said, he goes to Dunharrow later. He's not there at the siege. So you need somebody, in my opinion, present at the siege. And in my opinion, that's difficult. How many hours will this be? I plan not to do a very long stream here, to be honest. But who knows what this means in Chris time. It's hard to... Chris time is hardly translate into real world time. Hardly translated. Also need to catch up a bit with chat. Yeah, the Watcher in the water being present, I also find very strange, as said. Yeah, the film was first announced, so the Oliphants are not really a big surprise. Not really a big surprise here that they appear. We knew this. It's still strange because in the original story they don't appear, but whatever. I wait to have seen others review it. I'm tired of the girl boss trope. Depends on how she's depicted, to be honest. But we will see. Well, we don't know what happens to her. But it's not clear if she dies or if she survives as well. Like I said, it's not really known what happens. In theory, she could have survived. Then Helm's line would not directly end, but the next king will be, of course, the next male heir. That would be then Frealaf, his nephew. My only qualm is this lore accurate. So the what do you mean is lore accurate, Adriel Outspoken? Can you they come from Harat. We can, of course, this would not be a Chris stream if we would not look at the map, right? What do? We do it like this. First of all, I need this here. Okay, always not easy production-wise, I can tell you that. So yeah, here we have Rohan. I move the map, it's easier, and the arrow just stays in the middle. And the Dune landings, here's Duneland. Duneland is northwest of Rohan, behind the Misty Mountains, so basically here. But also maybe some settled here, I don't know. Here is Isengard, or Isengard, and the Oliphants come from Harat, from somewhere down here. Who knows where exactly. And the people of Rune, they're the Easterlings from, but they don't have the Oliphants. And the Watcher in the Water is, of course, here's the entrance of Khazad-dûm, that usually he's here. So you could argue, or maybe he's something there. From the books, we know that there's a mention of a river. I also had the quote here, but it's this river here. I can't read the name, and I don't know the name out of my head, but it ends on UI. Lefuigler, I think is the name. Let me see if I find the quote. Yesterday I had it, or I had it. Lefnui, I think is the name, with an N. Yeah, here it is. So found it. Look. 4 years later, 2758, great troubles came to Rohan, and no help could be sent from Gondor, for 3 fleets of the Corsairs of Umbar attacked it, and there was war on all its coasts. At the same time, Rohan was again invaded from the east, or the northeast, and the Dune landings, seeing that chance, came over the Isen and down from Isengard. It was soon known that Wulf was their leader. They were in great force, for they were joined by enemies of Gondor that landed in the mouths of of Lefnui and Isen. So the mouth of Lefnui would be here. So somewhere from here, people came. It seems by ship, because this is a Gondorian region actually, in this line of the back part of it. And Gondor was so busy with the Corsairs. So maybe it could be also Corsairs. It could be people from Harat. I guess it is possible. Maybe other Easterlings, because, like I said, they live up here. Try to sail down there. Also from the Isen, that is this river here. So there are these possibilities from where enemies could have come from. The final conflict. Oh, sorry, I just paused this thing here. My mistake. Where's studio mode? Here it is. Justice for Freka, yeah. Hey Chris, at work, but wanted to pop by and say I'll be tuning into the VOD later. Looking forward. Yeah, awesome, Solo. Nice to see you here. Also tonight's also in the Twitch chat. Awesome to have some people there as well. Tolkien made so many characters, I don't know anything about this time. So yeah, in my opinion, what we see in the trailer, there are several things. Also, thank you so much for your generosity. What do you know about the female protagonist from the Tolkien lore? Okay, so there's a clarification. I just wanted to try to check your message because I asked you what exactly you want to know. But yeah, so no, don't worry. That's why I make these streams, to kind of tell people about the lore. That's what I know kind of best. The question is, where do we start? That's the biggest question. So first of all, production. Like I said, it's always a bit finicky to find the clips here. So how lore accurate is this? I can recommend my analysis because I briefly talk about this. Where is it? Here's the scene. Is the other scene? Okay, I got this. Trailer is linked in the description in case for people wonder where they can check the trailer. Also the Japanese trailer. We will look into this as well in a moment. So yeah, this is Helm Hammerhand. We know him from Lord of the Rings. He is the king of Rohan. Do I have something set up here? Not really. I'll take this screenshot then. You remember the statue in Helm's in the Hornburg when they enter it at the beginning? I have it here somewhere. Just need to source the right film. That should work. So yeah, this is Helm Hammerhand from the Lord of the Rings movie. It should be Two Towers, and he is kind of revered. He's like a legend in a way. And yeah, this now tells the story of him. And the Hornburg, for example, is named after him blowing the horn at nights when the Hornburg was besieged. We see this in the trailer already. And the plot points here in the trailer, like they sit here, then suddenly somebody comes into to the room. Here we have him, that's Freka and so on, and his son Wolf asks to marry the daughter of Helm, which is not named in the lore. So we don't know how Helm's daughter actually was called. We don't know her name. Tolkien didn't write it down. Maybe there is some behind the scenes stuff Tolkien has about the appendices where she has a name, but I haven't found anything. So there's that. And all this is described here. Then there was an argument between these two men, between Freka and Helm. And then let me just see. Helm punches Freka so hard that he dies on the spot in this situation. And that is why he was called Helm Hammerhand, because his fist hits like a hammer, kind of, or hammerhand. And Freka, this character he kills here, is an interesting character in this context. It's kind of like I already explained in the analysis video. We have here a Dunland, and he claims to be related to the noble house of Rohan in some way. I forgot which king he mentions. Bergwine was a later king. I forgot which one it was. Maybe somebody in chat knows out of his head. Don't have all the kings of Rohan in my head. However, he claims to be related to it. That I think if he is now related to the noble house or not, but it seems he is related, or he has blood of the Rohirrim as well. I think that is at least somewhat undisputed. But his ancestors, whatever, mingled with the Dunelandings. And the Dunelandings, maybe if you have seen the Lord of the Rings films, let me see if I can update here my screenshot. Well, we just do it like this. There's a scene from the extended edition where Saruman talks to a group of men that are angry at the Rohan, that are the Dunelandings. I can show you the Saruman scene where he stands in the middle. Usually he takes the other screenshot because you see him less. But Saruman talks to these in The Lord of the Rings and so on and so forth. And this conflict, why the Dunelandings don't like the people of Rohan, that was potentially also present before, but has to do with this conflict we potentially see here. And it was unfortunately not a wise thing to kill Freka, in my opinion. Because the story of the Dunelandings is a bit complicated to explain. We have to go very far back into time. We're going back into the First Age. And there men awoke in a place named Hildorien. And something happened there what has to do with Morgoth. And then a group of people that were later called the Edain fled from there. These Edain had 3 houses or tribes that were the house of Beor, as it's later called, the house of Marach, and the Haladin, or the house of Hales. And then there were also the Druedain. So these are the basically 3 groups or 4 groups the Edain consist of. The Druedain is a special case. We ignore them for the time being. And they, in this place here, fled. Well, I'll just do this with this mode here. It's easier. They fled. Presumably, I'm not sure if the Sea of Helkar was still there. Likely. Over here, here's the Sea of Rune. They came across there. Here somewhere the Misty Mountains. A bit tough to move this. And then on the way, a group of the house of the Haladin, of the house of Hales, settled here. The rest continued. Not all of the house of Hales settled here. And another group, the most group, went to Beleriand. That is, this part of Middle-earth doesn't exist in the Second and Third Age anymore because it was destroyed in the War of Wrath. Doesn't matter too much. The important part is that a group of these Edain, the house of Hales, settled here on the way in Middle-earth. It's not easy to show. I mean, we need a better map for that. That is zoomed out a bit more. It takes a Second Age map. They settled somewhere here, if that makes sense. And the others continued. What is special about the House of Hales is, though, that they spoke a different language than the other houses. And then, when later, if we now go to the Númenóreans down here, so after the War of Wrath ended, the other houses mingled again and basically were offered to have a place where they can live in peace. The island was created, the island of Númenor, and they settled here and became the Dunedain, the men of the West. Also, some of the Druedain went to Númenor, according to some texts of Tolkien, which is kind of interesting. And then later, when they developed ships again and returned to Middle-earth, the Númenóreans, they found these people here. And they thought, wait, they don't speak the same language as we don't understand them. We have no clue what they are saying. Because they separated from the group of Edain earlier, so their language developed potentially in a completely different direction as the House of Hales that were potentially known in Beleriand, that they knew. And they spoke a different language anyway. And they did not recognize those as kin. As a result, they wanted this area for themselves and pushed the Dunelandings, these people here, to this direction, and they became the Dunelandings. and they were not considered kin of the Númenóreans. If we go here to the north, that's different for the people in the north. When they explored Middle-earth, they met the Norsemen here in this region, which are let's call the part of the distant ancestors of the people of Rohan. Maybe somewhere here in the Vales, in this area somewhere. And they notice that they can kind of understand what they are saying. That means that these people must be related to the Númenóreans, because when the Edain wandered into the west, some of the other, it's I think the house of Marach, that some of them also separated from the main group and settled here in this region. And this is where the Norsemen come from. And they were considered kin of the Númenóreans because they could understand them. So as a result, they were foes, they were not foes. And then through all the development over time, the Númenóreans became the Dúnedain. We have Gondor, we have Arnor, and the Dúnelandings never forgot what the Gondorians or the Dúnedain did to them. As a result, they don't like them. And because these are the allies, and there may be some border conflicts here and there with the Dúnelandings, they also don't like the people of Rohan. You have to go to the Third Age map, actually, because here later, Rohan is Third Age stuff, not Second Age stuff. So here we have the right names, Dunland, Rohan, and so on. And now this conflict breaks out. Now this man here in the trailer appears. I should phrase it differently. There was a long variant to tell the story, I guess. This man appears, and he has the blood of both, of Rohan and of Dunland in him. As a result, it's actually a smart proposal of him to say, hey, let your youngest daughter, or let your daughter marry my son. I'm not sure how old Helm's daughter actually is. And this could end like the feud with Dunland. Actually like a diplomatic marriage or something. Actually, on paper, that's not too stupid, in my opinion. So, as a result, this was potentially not the smartest idea of let me see where we can find this. To kill this man. That was not the smartest idea, because now his son, Wulf, is kind of angry. And he brings his anger to the Dunelandings. And then the Dunelandings start to invade. Man, production's always tough, chat, I can tell you. We'll do the studio mode easier. The Dunelandings then captured Isengard at some point, or Isengard, and from there they attacked Rohan. Like, the men Freka lived, I think, west of this river here that we see here. So somewhere in this area, he had control over, and he had connections to the Dunelandings from potentially further away, and they could amass quite some forces and then started to attack Rohan, and then a war breaks out. And that's basically what we see in the trailer. So to answer your question, and to also give you the complete picture, sorry for the very long answer here. Middle-earth looks similar to Europe. Yeah, there might be a reason for that, but yes. Where was I? Numenor, Duned. Yeah, exactly. This is what we see in the trailer. The trailer basically shows us all of this. So from this perspective, it is lore accurate. Like I said, the things that are not that lore accurate is definitely this boy here, the Oliphant. And there's also somewhere this Watcher thing here. This here, the Watcher, that does not appear. Same with the Great Eagle. The eagles also don't appear in this story. So these are invention. Her character, like I said, the daughter of Helm, is not really mentioned. It's mentioned that he has a daughter, and it's because Wulf asked for her hand. That is true, but in the story or in the summary of Tolkien, she doesn't play a big role. Else, I guess Tolkien would have written it down. But yeah, this is the political background, why the Dunelandings don't like Rohan, why this marriage was proposed by Freka and so on. It makes actually quite a lot of sense. And you could argue that diplomatically, killing Freka was maybe a very stupid idea. And it brought Rohan to the brink of its ruin. Still, Rohan survived at the end. And the story is always told by the winners. And as a result, Helm kind of became some legend, even though, like I said, this decision as king was maybe not the smartest diplomatic decision a king has ever done in Middle-earth. So, let's put it that way. Wulf is the son of Freka, of this man here is Wulf. He should marry the daughter of Helm. And, yeah, Wulf is a son of Freka. He's also, as a result, has the blood of Rohan and of the Dunelandings in him. Oh, the classic forgotten scene switch. Thank you. Sorry. Like I said, production is really tough with authors. This is Freka. Wulf, I can show it again. Wulf is this young man here, the son of Freka. Where do we have him? Here. And yeah, this is Helm, his Harles, Hama Harles. I'm not sure who is Hama and who is Harles actually, but we will learn, I guess. And yeah, the unnamed daughter here called Hera. Could Helm even spell diplomatic? That's a good question, I think. He could spell hammer at least. So yeah, also the thing of Europe. It's actually an interesting thing here. So in Tolkien's idea for his world was that he wrote like the let's call it background story or lore for this world called the Silmarillion. And originally it was planned that kind of at the end of the Silmarillion, somebody from our world, an Anglo-Saxon king or lord, forgot if it was a king or lord, called Elfwine, found the way. Well, I need a third age map actually, chat. Why is it? It's wrong. Doesn't matter. Found his way from his world, found basically the way from his world to Aman. That's where the elves later live. That's when they sailed to the west, they sailed to Aman. This is the west continent. However, the west continent was basically removed from the world. And you need like a mystic, legendary, magical road called the Straight Road to reach. And only the elves can find it. But this man, Elfwine, found this straight road and was able to sail to Aman. And there he learned from the elves the lore, what happened in this in Middle-earth before. And basically the plot twist is that Arda, the world, is actually our Earth, just many thousands of years earlier. And kind of stuff developed out of this from there. That's kind of the plot twist that Tolkien had in mind. So, and the idea of Tolkien was for the, let's call it, communication situation of his books, was that Tolkien found the Red Book of Westmarch, this red book Bilbo carries around. I can maybe see if I find a screenshot of him. Let me just... I have for sure a screenshot of that. Maybe I've seen it in the films. Red Book. No, there it is. Took a moment to find. From Fellowship of the Ring. This is his book he's working on. He wrote his story into it, and later Frodo adds the Lord of the Rings story to it, and others like Merry and so on, Pippin, also add Hobbit lore to it and other stuff and so on. And also, then there is the book from what is it called? From Elfwine, who sails to the West Continent. He brings the Silmarillion and so on. It's a bit complicated. However, at the end, Tolkien finds this book and translates it into modern English. That's kind of how The Lord of the Rings is written, if that makes sense. So in a way, yes, it looks like Europe, because you could argue maybe it's Europe, or the middle part, because this looks a bit like Europe and Asia and Africa and so on, but still formed kind of differently if you look at this map. It's complicated, but yeah. In the trailer, it looks like Freka attacked first. Yeah, so that might be... Let me just see if we find this. Freka. To one of these councils, I'm not sure if this is even the right one, I think it should be. Freka rode with many men, and he asked the hand of Helm's daughter for his son Wolf. But Helm said, "You have grown big since you were last here, but it is mostly fat, I guess." So in the books, Helm kind of insults Freka for even this question. And men laughed at that for Freka. And for Freka was white in the bell, Tolkien writes. Then Freka fell in a rage and reviled the king and said this at the last: "Old kings that refuse a prophet staff may fall on their knees." Helm answered, "Come, the marriage of your son is a trifle. Let Helm and Freka deal with it later. Meanwhile, the king and his council have matters of moment to consider." When the council was over, Helm stood up and laid his great hand on Freka's shoulder, saying, "The king does not permit brawls in his house, but men are freer outside." And he forced Freka to walk before him out of Edoras into the field. To Freka's men that came up, he said, "Be off, we need no hearers. We are going to speak of a private matter alone." That's kind of different here in the trailer. "Go and talk to my men," and they looked and saw that the king's men and his friends far outnumbered them, and they drew back. "Now, Dune Landing," said the king, "you have only Helm to deal with alone and unarmed, but you have said much already, and it is my turn to speak." Lost the line. "Freka, your folly has grown with your belly. You talk to a staff. If Helm dislikes a crooked staff that is thrust on him, he breaks it. So, with that, he smote Freka such a blow with his fist that he fell back, stunned, and died soon after. Helm then proclaimed Freka's son and near kin the king's enemies, and they fled, for at once Helm sent many men riding to the west marches." So that's kind of the story of how Tolkien wrote this. It's a little of dialogue written here at the beginning, and then the rest is basically more like a history, like 2 pages of the history, what happens afterwards kind of thing. But for the most part, with some freedom, I think the portrayal that we have seen in the trailer of this, at least if you put the scenes together, I can tell you the story and you could follow along. So it makes, for the most part, quite a bit of sense in my opinion. I hope they skip the fat shaming. Yeah, we will see. I guess some insult could have been thrown out or something. I like how massive they made Helm in this. Yeah, he must have been a very strong man. I really need to put out my my copy of Return of the King. Yeah, it's appendix. I cannot tell you the page. I can only tell you the page for the 50th anniversary edition if you want not to search that long. It would be page 1065, 1066, and so on. Yeah. It's an Appendix A, exactly. Appendix A, the House of Eorl. Not that far into this text. But yeah, that was kind of the story happening here. And then the rest becomes like, I feel like the trailer, from how it's structured, of course, here at the beginning we see the armies and so on. So we can read that after he potentially sent out the armies, there was some conflict and so on. And then we later see even Edoras, I assume it's burning. We definitely have some scenes here. And we see here Helm riding here with his men and so on. But yeah. Here we see Meduseld. I really like how the artwork or the art style here of this looks pretty cool, in my opinion. Very close also. In the trailer analysis I also cut next to it the Meduseld from the Peter Jackson films. Looks pretty much the same. So they're definitely going with the Peter Jackson stuff. I think it even says here at the beginning, Peter Jackson presents. So they also added some of the footage here of the original film and so on. So that's interesting. Yeah, and then later things are happening here. He's attacking. We have here the Oliphant. Here we see the army coming to Edoras. This is still Edoras. Here we have the Meduseld pillar and so on. Oh, you can't see it again, chat. I hate myself for not doing the production right, chat. So back what I just said. Here at the beginning, we see some of the later stuff. I assume this is after the conflict where they basically attack Edoras and overrun the Rohirrim. They try to defend. We see Helm here. Let's go through this here again. And yeah, then we see also here we see them in the background coming, so stuff like that. We see then the walls of Edoras being broken by this Oliphant. That is new. That is not in the books, but then things happen. And then we later see here, these are the walls, and you know this ridge, this steep going down thing here. Not even sure if it's called a ridge, but you know what I mean. This place where also Gandalf later comes from. These are the walls of the Hornburg and so on. So we know that there is some stuff happening here. There's also like a siege scene somewhere. Here we have some Edoras fighting still. It's a bit hard to see this stuff here. I remember this massive bridge here at some point. Oops. Yeah, here it is. The siege thing. Looks a bit 3D-ish. So maybe there's some 3D techniques used for this here as well. Oh, that is interesting. This dude here is basically put on top of. I never noticed this. He seems to, like, I don't know, seem to kind of kill him here. Interesting. Never noticed that. And there's a dude here on top of that, and he flies away. So I think it was not intentional for him being there. Maybe it was a kind of a punishment for him to kill him or something. My page is 1065. Ah, awesome. We need to calculate if the bridge is viable. Someone fetched Tolkien erklärt. Yeah, like shoutouts to Lucas. He, of course, often likes calculating stuff like this or looking into it. So we will do. There will be also. I'm not 100% sure when, but I think it's tomorrow. We might discuss this trailer on the German Tolkien Society for the German-speaking viewers. YouTube channel of the German Tolkien Society, DTG, Deutsche Tolkien Gesellschaft. And yeah, I will be most likely there as well and tell you the exactly same thing I'm telling you here and there again. So from this part, everything is correct. We can now speculate a bit about some of these scenes here. We have here, I assume this woman here. Not sure where she appears, to be honest, because it's a nightmare to do this. Here, I assume this woman might be Hild, the aunt of her, then the sister of Helm Hammerhand. And here they are, obviously on the Hornburg. It's cold. At this time, we also had the so-called long winter. That's also interesting. Like it's a time where, like the name says, it's a long, very cold winter that lasts very long, and as a result, leads to some famine in a lot of regions. For example, the Hobbits struggle hugely, and Gandalf comes to the Shire and helps the Hobbits in this time. And this is also the time where Gandalf gets fond of the Hobbits. So a very important thing or point in time that Tolkien has here, this long winter, that is interestingly very influential for the rest of Middle-earth, basically, when it comes to the War of the Ring later. Because this leads to finding the One Ring. Okay, the woman might be Olwyn. Could also be. I'm curious if Hild is there in this. Hard to tell. She's then voiced by Miranda Otto. Interesting. So yeah, then Edoras is basically sacked, destroyed, and the people of Rohan have to flee from Edoras, and they flee to the Hornburg. The Hornburg is back in the day not called Hornburg yet, but Susburg. That's Old English for Southburg. And it's a Gondorian fortress that was made there at some point. Forgot the Gondorian name for it, chat. It starts, I think, with an A or something like that. Almarond, something like that. Let's look it up really quick. Oh, it's Bilbo again. Aglarond, of course. The Sindari name of the Gondorians for it was originally Aglarond. I'm very curious if they use a Sindari name for it, or if they call it a Susburg or something like this. Well, no, Gandalf is not smoking pipeweed in the long winter with the hobbits, but late after the winter for sure. Who knows? But yeah, this is kind of how everything is connected. And yeah, when then the people, like Edoras is taken. Defending Edoras, also some people are slain. Spoiler, for example, the two sons of Helm Hammerhand are both killed defending against the Easterlings. Just one chat. Did one son die or both? I think the other dies later, right? No, the casting news come from Torn. Okay. Is Hild also mentioned in the casting list? Do you know that? Okay, Hales dies defending at the doors of Meduseld, the last of its defenders in the books. And Hama later is in Helm's Deep, potentially takes Hera with him, and Helm also lands at some point. And he dies, he's later sent out to find food, because it's a long winter, they're on the Hornburg, and they don't have enough food. So famine breaks out, and getting food is a problem. I think we might see this. You could argue, and this is maybe something that people might see as a problem. I'm not 100% sure, but we see her climbing here in the mountains. So I could assume she's also maybe goes on her own to look for help and maybe finds the eagles or something. I'm not 100% sure. But actually in the books it would be her brother, Hama, going out. And he's not returning. He dies there on this way. And then only Helm is left. And yeah, the story of... Oh, you can't see it again. I forgot to switch. It's, like I said, production. So you could imagine she maybe wanders and finds here later the Great Eagles. Maybe they try to help or something. But there is a scene where she climbs up in the mountains. I just can't find it anymore. Okay, chat. I have to watch the trailer really quick. Found it. So here she's climbing up there somewhere. So maybe that's her trying to find help or whatever. Maybe she goes on a mission on her own and then later returns. I don't know. It's my speculation here. However, she has to be present again to defend and actually a duel our good old friend Wolf here. And so on. So very curious what happens here. The worry is a bit of some people that she might kill him, because he's actually then later killed by Frealaf. Frealaf, like I said, Helm Hammerhand has a sister, Hild, and this sister has a son, Frealaf Hildeson, as he's called at places. And Frealaf is the one who is not present here. He and his, let's call it house, clan, whatever, is retreating elsewhere. If we look at the map, Frealaf is retreating. I can't see it here on the map, but somewhere here must be Dunarrow. Somewhere down here. I don't mention Hild being mentioned there. Oh, Mark Schießers also, good evening. No, the woman is called Hera. Like in Lord of the Rings, Hama and Hales also appear, interestingly, in the Peter Jackson film. But we know them from other places. And there's a Japanese trailer. And we have like, for example, in the Japanese trailer, we have this scene. Here we see Helm, and he's kind of out in the wild. We can read that at some point during the siege, Helm started sneaking out of Hornburg into the enemy lines and at night, and started killing enemies with his bare hands there. And every time before doing this, he would also blow the horn that they know he was coming for them. And this struck fear into their hearts, and there's a legend that even thousands of years or hundreds of years later, not thousands, you can still hear the horn sometimes of Helm Hammerhand in the around the Hornburg. That's also how the Susburg became the Hornburg, because of that. Do you understand Japanese? Unfortunately not. No, only a few words. We also see a snow troll here. I have to switch scenes really quick. But yeah, we also see a snow troll in this scene, and he fights Helm Hammerhand. I think I would bet on Helm here winning. And the end of Helm Hammerhand is also pretty epic. it's pretty metal, you could say. One night he sneaked out again, blew his horn to kill the enemies again, but due to not having food and anything and it being very cold, he just froze and died on the way. But he did not fell over, he just stood there. Like a... and people seeing him would not dare to come close because they feared that was like a snow troll or something. I think that's how the story goes. So yeah, pretty cool. I'm not even sure. Let me just look into the book here really quick. I don't want to tell you. Helm had a great horn, and soon it marked that... And soon it was marked that before he sallied forth, he would blow a blast upon it that echoed in the deep. And then so great a fear fell on the enemies that instead of gathering to take him or kill him, they fled away down the coombe. One night men heard the horn blowing, but Helm did not return. In the morning there came a sun gleam, the first for long days, and they saw a white figure standing still on the dike, alone, for none of the Dunelandings dared to come near. There stood Helm, dead as a stone, but his knees were unbent. And here come then the legends. Yet men said that the horn was still heard at times in the deep, and the race of Helm would walk among the foes of Rohan and kill men with fear. And then next line, like I said, that's we talked about why I think that why Frealaf is not a good choice for this. All the story, Frealaf would not be present. Soon after the winter broke, that must be next year. Then Frealaf, son of Hild, Helm's sister, came down out of Dunharrow, to which many had fled. And with a small company of desperate men, he surprised Wulf in Meduseld and slew him, and regained Edoras. There were great floods after the snows, and the Vale of Entwash became a vast fen. The eastern invaders perished or withdrew, and there came help at last from Gondor by the roads both east and west of the mountains. So this story clearly tells you why Frealaf is not an ideal main character. He is, at least if you stick to the story, he's not present at the siege of Hornburg. And I think this is one of the peak points, basically, of like the dramatic points in the storyline, where you have the story of Helm and blowing his horn and killing the enemies with bare hands and so on. He's not present there. You need a character present. You could say they make Helm Hammerhand present, but it would be kind of strange if the protagonist dies in the middle of the film, and then you have to, we still have Frealaf, we still have Gondor, we still have the ending where Saruman appears and gives them presents and stuff like that. Saruman also, by the way, confirmed in the Japanese trailer. We have him here. So like I said at the beginning, spoiler warning. Here appears Saruman later, and yeah, we can read in the book Maybe I leave it here, I'm not sure. Let me see if I can find the mention of him, chat. It was at the crowning of Frealaf that Saruman appeared, bringing gifts. Oh, you can't see it. Screw me, chat. Now it works. Okay, sorry. If it's a bug with my browser full screen thing. Whatever. Where was I? It was at the crowning of Frealaf that Saruman appeared, bringing gifts and speaking great praise of the valor of the Rohirrim. All thought him a welcome guest. Soon after, he took up his abode in Isengard, for this Beren, steward of Gondor, gave him leave, for Gondor still claimed Isengard as a fortress of its helm, and not part of Rohan. So for the context, Rohan was originally a region of Gondor called Kalinarthon, and after the ancestors of the people of Rohan, the Eotheot, under Eorl, that will become the first king of Gondor. That's why the people of Rohan also call themselves Eorlingas, after their first king. Eorl and his men helped Gondor when they were attacked by the Easterling tribe, the Balkoth. I forgot how they were spelled. And in this time, the king of Gondor, or the steward, made a basically an alliance with the Eotheot and gifted them Kalinarthon, except for Isengard, as we here learn. So this land, and it became Rohan, the people of the Riddermark. And that's kind of the backstory of Rohan. This is very late in the Third Age already, so Rohan is actually a very young kingdom in contrast, for example, to Gondor, which is very old in comparison. But originally it was place, and as here in the text, it was still Isengard, however it's pronounced, is still considered part of Gondor. Yeah, still claimed Isengard as a fortress of its realm and not part of Rohan. Beren also gave into Saruman's keeping the keys of Orthanc, that's the tower in the middle of this place, the Black Tower, also once made by the Gondorians, or something like that. That tower, no enemy had been able to harm or to enter. In this way, Saruman began to behave as a lord of men, for at first he held Isengard as a lieutenant of the steward and warden of the tower. But Frealaf was as glad as Beren to have this so, and to know that Isengard was in the hands of a strong friend, a friend he long seemed, and maybe in the beginning he was one in truth. Though afterwards there was little doubt in men's minds that Saruman went to Isengard in hope to find the stone still there, the seeing stone, the Palantir, and with the purpose of building up a power of his own. Certainly after the last White Council, 2953, his designs towards Rohan, though he hid them, were evil. And we know the rest then from the LotR. He took Isengard for his own and began to make it a place of guarded strength and fear, as though to rival the Barad-dûr, the Black Tower in Mordor. His friend and servants he drew then from all who hated Gondor and Rohan, whether men or other creatures more evil. That's how Tolkien describes this. Beautiful text. The word Isen, so it's Old English basically. Isen means Eisen, iron. So in German the word is quite similar still. And Yard is related to the English word yard. So it's the iron yard. It's in Old English, if the G is in the middle of a word, like in this case, it can be pronounced as Y sound. So it could be Isengard. If you anglicize, it's Isengard. I'm not 100% sure though on the G because I'm not an Old English expert. Maybe this is a special case where the G could be pronounced hard as a G, so it would be Isengard, but whatever, it doesn't matter too much. You know what I mean. So yeah, this is the coronation scene of I'm not sure where my thing is. Coronation scene of Frealaf that we see here. That's where Saruman, at least according to the books, is present. So we can see quite a few additional scenes here. We also see here, like I said, Harles is slain defending at the stairs of Meduseld. This is one of the sons we see at the beginning, the one sitting to the left. So I assume this is Harles. And then the other one, this one here, this must be Hama then. I think he's also riding. There's a scene, I think, where he rides with somebody. I have to watch the trailer to find it. It's a very small scene, easy to be missed. Maybe I dreamed it, it's also a possibility. Hey, we also see, by the way, the Hornburg a bit better. Like we know it from Peter Jackson with these big horns there. But that's not the reason why it's called Hornburg. Okay, maybe I dreamed it. I could swear he was on a horse and was riding there somewhere with Hild or with Hera, I'm not sure. Oh no, maybe this is what I had in mind here, this scene. Oh, she has the classic scratch at her cheek, like Arwen in the Peter Jackson films. So some references are definitely there. I'm just still seeing if I find the scene I'm talking about. So very curious. I think this was the scene here. I assume this here to the left must be Hama then. Because in the other trailer... Wait a moment, chat. Production. In the other trailer, here, we see them. So this is Harles, this must be Hama then. I've soon seen smoother animation, that is true. Like, if this would be a direct to DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, for a streaming service, like a show or so, we would say, yeah, the animation is okay. I think for a release for cinema, maybe it's like animation quality wise not the biggest ever. It's my opinion okay. It's definitely by far not the best animation I have ever seen in my life. That for sure. Like if you want to see, I don't know, one of the most impressive works when it comes to anime and animation would be Redline, because that's almost fully animated. Like if you draw scenes, you often take shortcuts, so you don't. In some scenes, you never try to have all the scenes completely hand-drawn and animated. This film, they did this. It took them 7 years or some ridiculous. It was insanely expensive. Probably ruined the studio that made this. But it's very impressive to see. Do you think she's wearing a wedding dress? Yes, I had the same idea at 2 minutes 6. I assume you mean the trailer, this one. Yeah, I think she has a wedding dress as well. The question is why? First of all, like as a symbol or something like that. I mean, she clearly wears her horse riding leggings, whatever they're called, to do maybe as a symbol, or another idea maybe to sneak through the snow and don't be seen. So she needed something white, and she used her wedding dress. That's my interpretation of this, but who knows? Maybe dreamed you rode maybe you dreamed you rode Fellbeast with what Freud say about that. Yeah, I don't know. But I found the scene. I mean, I just had it a bit different in mind. But I've also seen with Hama and Hera riding outside, on horses outside at least. Yeah, I would also say, like, the drawing quality is not bad. It seems like it's not unpopular at some point. Like, I think the first anime that did this very well and quite a bit using 3D stuff was Ghost in the Shell. Though they're also still, like, Ghost in the Shell is a masterpiece. Not comparable to this here. This has to prove itself still if it's good. But Ghost in the Shell is, for me personally, one of my favorite anime films of all time. With Akira and stuff as well. Well, on a completely different level. Can't compare this. But Ghost in the Shell also started using 3D stuff back in the day. And I think they're also using some 3D techniques here to speed up production and get some shots done that are otherwise quite difficult to make. Is everybody excited? I think it's kind of mixed, Roy. I'm very curious what they make with this. But I can definitely see that some people might be greatly annoyed by it. Akira was your first DVD. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I like the art style. I mentioned Record of LotR's War in my analysis video. That's like, there's the OVA 1 and 2. And it's basically a Japanese high fantasy anime series that was produced back in the day, in the 90s for VHS, I would assume, because DVDs didn't exist at that time. And I liked those. These were one of my first animes I've ever seen. These, I think it's like 12 episodes in each. 12 or something. It's like in total 20 then. I'm not sure. 10, 11. Maybe it's even less. I forgot the number. It doesn't matter. It's a certain amount of episodes. And welcome, Priscilla. Nice to see you. Here to leave my like. Awesome. Thank you. Much, much appreciated. Thank you for your support. However, that was, one of my first anime shows, or not shows, series, films, whatever, I watched back in the day. This and Neon Genesis Evangelion, however it's pronounced. And yeah, these two are. I liked always LotR's War a bit more, though it's maybe, let's say, like NGE is for sure like the more popular and also potentially the bigger masterpiece in a way. But I've always find it unpleasant to watch because it had, I don't know, it was kind of crazy stuff happening there. Pretty, in a very strange way, brutal. So for me, it always had this very unpleasant feeling, the show. Record of LotR's War far less, so in this regard. I also liked fantasy more. And yeah, so as a result, this art style, it doesn't look like Record of LotR's War, but it looks a bit old school. And in these old school anime, you also, like, it looks not completely old school because it's 3D stuff that we see here and there, but you know what I mean, I hope. And because in these old school anime, you often had these still scenes that weren't completely fully animated to simply reduce cost in production, to save some time. Sometimes to wait for the manga. Dragon Ball is notorious for these stills that you have where they draw out these episodes forever and ever because the show needed to wait till the manga is ready, and so on. As a result, this was used in the old days a bit. So maybe this is a deliberate decision to also don't go for this insanely high animation quality that we have seen in other anime shows and so on. Like I said, it's not a catastrophe, it's pretty decent. Maybe it's a bit low for movie thing art style so far. I like a lot though. That works completely fine for me. I have to admit, I'm also, like, as I got older, I got less and less into anime. Like, I don't watch many animes these days. But in my youth, I definitely looked quite a few. I had Fellowship on VHS. That's awesome. I had the first one on VHS and the last one on DVD. Not 100% sure about the Two Towers. Oh, I can see that. Yeah, exactly. A Record of LotR's War is a little bit Dungeons and Dragons related, inspired. There's some story. The franchise. I think there were also some old games. There's I don't know when it came out. Like 4 years ago. There was maybe 5 years ago or something. 2019, 2018, something like this. Also, a decent Metroidvania in the Record of LotR's War universe came out. Would have to look up how it was called. I have all three extended on VHS and DVD. I have them on Blu-ray by now for screenshots and stuff. I don't have the 4K Blu-ray though because I don't have a 4K Blu-ray player. I still couldn't convince myself to get one. And then I would have to make all the screenshots again. That sounds like work. So, out of pure laziness. Record of LotR's War. Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth is a game called, and it came out. Let me just, for completeness sake, 2021, later than I thought. I thought it was before Corona, but whatever. It was in early access for some time. It's a pretty decent, has pretty good reviews. A pretty decent Metroidvania game. It's but yeah, nothing to do with this, just stuff. Look at the flowers in this shot. Oh, you mean we have what is it called? Silmarillion in the background. You mean in the, oh wait, I have to switch trailers. Is it in the other trailer, Roy? Do you think of this scene here, the white flowers? That's a good call. LotR's War manga was the only manga I ever bought. I also have some of the manga of Record of LotR's War. And I like it. Record of LotR's War looks a bit different than this here, though. The art style is not completely. Also, like this picture looks pretty like Saruman here. But there's some cool scenes, I have to admit. And yeah, I find it still strange that the Japanese trailer is just so incredibly different. But yeah, we definitely see her in a lot of scenes, so I go with the stuff here. Yeah, they are definitely more detailed. There are some stills in Record of LotR's War that are very detailed as well. I'm not sure if I find as a picture of. I had a picture of what was he called, King Fawn, I think was his name. There was a still of him in some. There are multiple shows as well. It's sometimes a bit difficult to tell. I'm gonna try if I can get this here by the magic of production on screen. All I need to do is find the video because I saved it in the folder for it. I think that is maybe a bit more detailed in direct comparison. Maybe not. Maybe you have to consider this is old stuff here. This is from Record of LotR's War. Looks, of course, very different, but it's also a different time. But sometimes they had these close-up still shots of characters where there was very little movement, and then there was a lot of detail in those. No, I have not watched Vampire Hunter D, unfortunately. Like, I don't know, let's say the early 2000s is basically where my anime knowledge slowly stops. Though I think Vampire Hunter D is also a bit older, isn't it? At least I know the name of it. I have not seen it, unfortunately. Just out of curiosity. Now, the novel is from 1983. Adaptation. Animated film is 1985. Okay. It's older than I thought. I mean, Meduseld. Well, I have to switch back. Meduseld. Maybe I can do the side-by-side comparison. Here's Meduseld from this year. It is not unrelated. This is presented by Peter Jackson. This is inspired by the Peter Jackson movies. As a result, the art designs are also pretty similar. Like Hornburg and Meduseld look exactly like in the Peter Jackson films. And the reason for that is because they have the license to do that, basically. Which I find pretty cool, to be honest. At least, I know not everybody loves the Peter Jackson films. Meduseld. Yeah, from a different perspective, but basically the same. It's from 2000, okay. But I definitely missed that. One of my favorite anime series was Cowboy Bebop. That's one of my absolute favorites. But it's a completely different genre. How old was Helm when he got his nickname? Well, that's a good question, but unfortunately would require me massively searching for the answer. Wait, it's easy actually. He got his name when he killed Freka. Freka died in which year? 2554. That's, I assume, when he became got his nickname. And then 4 years later, Rohan is attacked. So there's some time in between as well. I'm also curious if we see Eowyn in her later years or something. Very curious if they will do something like this. I would like to see an older Eowyn settle down with Faramir. That would be cool. Reminds me of when they re-released the original Star Wars in theaters. They published the manga novelization. There was a nice touch in the Vader-Kenobi duel that really highlighted the Jedi-Geki. And I find the idea also interesting, to be honest. I mean, yeah, are there many, somebody who maybe is more into anime than I am, are there many high fantasy anime these days? I would say they're more on the rare side, right? With some exceptions, maybe. Like, what is it called? Sword Art Online or whatever. And the record of Silmarillion War, yeah, that would be pretty awesome, to be honest. I could also imagine this, because the problem is, of course, with anime that not everybody likes watching these animated films. Like, some people would prefer real life actors and so on. I don't mind that, because for me it was always interesting in my youth, so I'm kind of used to these cartoon films, if you want to call them like that. And some are, of course, highly reward winning, like think of Studio Ghibli films and so on. It's just not a simple cartoon what you see there, but still there is like the tendency also for anime to make like live action stuff out of it, like One Piece has a series and so on. We had also even Ghost in the Shell was made into a live action film. Helm was born 2691, so Helm was in his 63rd year. Okay. He looks too old to be Hammerhand. I don't know. I think he looks strong and is pretty tall guy. I think he can still Hammerhand. My question is, he's 63, not 93, yeah. Yeah, the isekai stuff, right? So people wondering, let me see if we find a good thing here. But the isekai is usually a story in anime stuff where a person is basically transported into to another world, like a high fantasy world or a game world or whatever, a parallel universe, whatever, and then has to live there, and there's some other elements of that as well. Yeah, I also think that they compress the timeline a bit, that the war breaks out a lot earlier after Freka is killed. Who knows how they do this, because time and space are very fluid in film. But yeah, I think these 4 years are easily compressible, though. I don't think you would... it's not like Rings of Power where they compress like 3, 4, no, not 4, but let's say 2,000 years into what feels like a year or a few months or something, where it's just too extreme. Also, on the other side, it's very difficult to make otherwise without so much compression, but it's a different topic. Well, somebody wrote that the night sky of Medusa looks like a long exposure photo. Yeah, that it looks pretty good, but I think it's actually hand drawn. Or if you look closely, you could imagine that somebody drew this. Somebody very talented. Here it is. Was written in chat some time ago. Just check what messages I might have missed. It's interesting that Helm had a different crown. Yeah, maybe they all each get their individual crown. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how old Freka is, so that also is, I guess, an important factor. But you have to keep in mind, Helm Hammerhand is like a legendary hero of Rohan, so even with 63, I think he's still strong. Keep in mind, we're still in the world of mythology. Yeah, I think we don't have a year of the birth of Wolf, but here in the film it's suggested that Wolf and Helm's daughter knew each other from childhood and they seem similar, like from their size and so on. They look like they're kind of in a similar age. As a result, you could make an argument that Freka is potentially also roundabout. Maybe he is like a bit younger than Helm. Maybe he's like in his 50s. Where is he? Can't find Freka here. Here he is. Of course, Helm also had some other kids, so yeah, there could be a difference in this regard, but they could have a similar age. Distantly similar. Who knows? How old is Mike Tyson? I don't know. But is this... Oh, I forgot to switch the scene. So Helm looks older than Freka here in the anime, but they could have had a similar age from the book perspective. So Mike Tyson is 58 right now. According to Wikipedia. What do you think of the voice? So I like that Miranda Otto is again can be heard in this anime. That I find is a cool idea. And yeah, we will see what the rest will bring. So far, I'm not too worried about the voices. Like usually, it's a film for cinema. Usually they are voiced decently. If it's here in close nearby, I will watch it here in cinema in Germany. And then I will have the German voices anyway. So Germany has a good, when it comes to localization, we have like a big culture around this because we localize basically everything for the German market. As a result, I will hear different voices than you hear anyway. But usually the stuff people are doing there is quite good. So I'm not too worried. I think the biggest problem often are video game localizations in Germany, but these days, even though those got better. Yeah, of course there is the possibility, like the Dunedain get like Aragorn or something. He gets 200 something years old, and with 86, 37, I forgot his age. He looks like a young man still, but that are the Dunedain. They got a gift from the Valar, basically, or from God, to have their lifespan restored or expanded, you could say. That's different for the Norsemen, though. They don't have that. Though I think, interestingly, that's later, though. But the mother, is it the mother of Theoden? I have to look it up now. I think the mother of Theoden is... let me just look it up. I don't want to tell nonsense. Yeah. The mother of Theoden is Morwen Steelsheen, and she is of... she's from Dol Amros. So she's from the noble line there. As a result, at least... Theoden has some elvish genes in his lines. In his line. Because the princes of Dol Amros and their house have also like an elven influence there, because some of the ancestors, let me just see which one, who was it? Imrazor, and he, according to law, Imrazor married Mithrelas. She was potentially a servant of what she called Nimrodel. And yeah, so there is some elvish in it. That must not necessarily in this case translate into longer lifespans though, but yeah. However, this like Helm Hammerhand lived long before Thengel. Or the Thengel, yeah. So Helm Hammerhand was the 9th king of Rohan, and Thengel the 16th. So there are some generations later. This dude suddenly aged him by an additional year. '87. Oh, okay. 87 in Bree and 88 at the Battle of Hornburg. Only 87 in the film. Oh, okay. This dude aged him a year. Impossible. Now I get the context of these two that aged him. I never noticed that they had it earlier. And so in the year 3000 instead of the year 3001. That's funny. I can't even remember. Is it where do we see the Shire reckoning in the film? Is it written in the book or something? Or is there like a text? I can't even tell you where I would find out which year it would place Otaku Senpai. Ah, when he's writing the book, he says it. Yeah. Okay. He says 22nd September 40. Yeah. Okay. I remember now. I remember. Bilbo narrated at the beginning. Yeah. Okay. I get it. I just forgot. We will watch the films again. We have to start mid-November or something because we want this time to watch in chronological order. So start with The Hobbit and then watch the Lord of the Rings films. We want to be done by Christmas this year. I have to start in November already. So we might make some watch parties again. Hope people look forward to that. Then in the middle of it, this film here drops. I think it is the December the 13th that War of the Rohirrim will come to cinema, if I remember correctly. Yeah, the half-elven term is more for other stuff. Like for Elrond's line, that's where the term half-elven appears and where there are kind of special rules. The others are not really considered in that regard. Just a special case. Almost as old as I am. Do you think we'll get a Grima character? Maybe? Hard to tell how busy they are and how much time each section in the film will take. They for sure have to plan in some in the film. They have to take some time for the Hornburg section. By the way, we're talking about famine earlier in this at the stream, the beginning of the stream. I said, well, Hornburg was besieged by the dune landings. We have also this scene in the Japanese trailer. You see they're carrying basically dead people who potentially starved, or maybe were injured or died in battle or something. But I could also imagine it's more like they people starved. So there might be some grim stuff there in the show, or not in the show, in the film as well. So from like I said, if you look into all these little scenes and from those two trailers we got, we definitely see the main story beats present here, just from the perspective of Hera. She seems to be like a main perspective here in this regard. And some of it looks at least mostly lore accurate. So I'm after Rings of Power and having already seen some small clips of season 2, I'm just happy if they can tell a story just straightforward and stick somewhat to the books. And if they make changes, they have to make kind of sense. And that is, I think, potential for that in this film adaptation of the story of Helm Hammerhand. Oh, great, Rebo's here. Welcome. Nice to see you. So, chat, I don't know. We discussed basically most of the trailers already. There's not much I want to add. The charging elephant is missing an ear. Which is it, the normal trailer or the Japanese one? 2 minutes 10. Yeah, that is true. It also looks like it got kind of hurt a bit. Maybe from the struggle with the Watcher or something. I could imagine that. I'm not sure if we will see this mark. Yeah, the landscape looks great. The elephant and the horse look a bit out of place in this animation, in this scene, to be honest. But some of the backgrounds look really good for the most part, I have to admit. Also the landscape here, like this shot here with the eagle and the mountains in the background and stuff. No, when the elephant gets grabbed by the Watcher, the ear is still missing and it still has these wounds here. So my theory is wrong, unfortunately. Also, the horses by the people of Rohan are kind of revered, so potentially would not eat those. But yeah, Chen, what is your mood? Like, I know some people might be really angry at a female protagonist. I can see this. We discussed earlier that she is one of the few people who is around all the time, so it makes sense to have, like, Helm Hammerhand's perspective is also, my opinion, like, it would be strange if the protagonist of the show, spoiler, dies halfway in, if that makes sense. And his perspective is potentially also not the most interesting. Not the most interesting, maybe a bit hard, but he has a very distinctive position in this conflict. And sometimes it helps to understand a bigger conflict if you have a different perspective for that. Even though he is the king, and you could argue, shouldn't he be the main character? Sometimes it helps if you have a different character to maybe look at things that gives you, from a like storytelling or filmmaking perspective, I don't know how to phrase it differently, but a different or a better perspective of all these events. And it would maybe help if you have somebody who survives all of this, or is at least for a very long time in this conflict. And that is not true for many characters. Like I said, only she's always present. Frealaf is not present during the siege, so he would fall out. So then you would need two protagonists. And then you have to do something in Dunharrow. You know, if Frealaf is only present at the beginning, then he goes to Dunharrow later when the invasion comes, and there he basically prepares to strike back after the winter. Then you have what are you going to tell in the meantime? You know, you would lose focus from Frealaf for quite some time, and then he comes back. You need to establish him. So it sounds like, just from my perspective, that sounds like a classic side character that's important, and plays an important role later. But also at the same time, you can't have the focus all the time on him. So you need a different character that works, that does the work basically during the time of the siege. You could argue Helm, but Helm doesn't survive. His son doesn't survive. So who is present during all the time of the siege? That's, I think, the struggle here for the show. Why they have to take somebody. And of course, because, and some people would say it's Hollywood politics or whatever, they want a strong female character, because Tolkien wrote a few strong female characters, kind of. I know I don't want to start the debate about Eowyn, but those are popular and it works, and you have the Rohan shield maidens and so on. So as a result, I think it's a perfect fit, and it's not too much of a stretch. I can, you don't have to like it, but I can at least say it's somewhat plausible to do it like this. random Rohan warrior number 42 is also present all the time. That's true. So yeah, this change does not annoy me too much. We can maybe do what you call a poll, and people can vote on if they like having a female protagonist. Yeah, that's also a good point in Appendix A. Many lords and warriors and many fair and valiant women are named in the songs of Rohan. So yeah, it makes sense. It's not too out of place for the people of Rohan to have strong, valiant women and so on. Do you mind having Hera and daughter as female protagonist, something like that? As protagonist, I just write. Yes, no, I don't care. Just out of curiosity, maybe I have enough people who are willing to vote. So very curious if this vote works. No and I don't care are the same. No. Basically, they are the same in a strange way, but often people say, yeah, it would be. It's more like I don't care about this question at all versus no, I actually, like, if you press no, you say, yeah, I don't mind this. I find it okay that this is the case versus if it's a male or female, it doesn't matter to me. You can just ignore I don't care then. It depends. Yeah, I think I can make 4 options in a poll, but I'm not 100% sure. But now it's too late anyway. So it seems like most people, at least who voted here, don't mind. Yeah, it's not relevant. After the Greek goddess. Like I said, the word also exists, or the name could also exist in Old English. Not sure what their thought process behind the name was. Maybe somebody will elaborate on this who knows Old English a bit better than I do. But I'm not sure. Currently, we have a few votes in. 88% saying no, they don't mind. 12% say yes. And nobody says I don't care. So people seem to care, but most people don't mind. So that's something, I guess. Okay, we just end the poll here. Do you think Hera will cook a bad stew? Yeah, I think she will invent the recipe that Eowyn is using later. That's my theory here. But I don't know. It could be like there's some references already to Lord of to Peter Jackson stuff, so I wouldn't be surprised if a scene like that would be in. It depends a bit. How much Mary Sue it is. Like Galadriel is like an extreme case, but whatever. Let me just think. What other thing I wanted to ask? Ah, yeah. Are you looking or on a scale of, I think I have 4 options, right? Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 4. Unfortunately, that makes no sense. I can't really. I only have 2 little options on YouTube for a poll. So I can just ask, are you looking forward to the show? Yes, no, kind of. Looking forward. It's not a show, it's a film. Looking forward to the film. Or to War of the Rohirrim? Question mark. Yes. No. Depends. What was the other thing? Kind of. I don't care. Maybe what yeah, it's just kind of in the middle. Let's say kind of / skeptical. Maybe something like that. I don't know how to phrase the middle point. You know, the third option is kind of in the middle. So a scale from 1 to... So let's say this is, yes, is 3. 3 of 3. 1 of 3. Complicated stuff, skeptical. So it's kind of in the middle, 2 of 3. And for sure some spelling typos in it. Just curious what people think. Oh, Schnarke is back. Welcome. We are still discussing Lord of the Rings stuff, as you probably have foreseen. No, the Lord of the Rings stuff. We're currently discussing War of the Rohirrim. It's also part of the Lord of the Rings universe. Film comes out in December. I voted yes, pretty minor. Yeah, that's kind of me as well. Like most of the stuff, so far it looks good. Most of the stuff, it has potential to be a decent adaptation of the story, I think. There might be some changes, of course. There might be some stuff we won't like in the end. For sure, that's not too unusual. I don't expect the biggest masterpiece in the history of anime and filmmaking and storytelling, but I think it could be just pretty decent. Do a straw poll, that would be an option as well. I think that should also work. Will be the first movie to watch in cinema after many years. Okay. Yeah, the show is just. We will just, unfortunately, like, I can't believe that it's just. How many days left, chat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 days. Then 3 episodes of Rings of Power will come out. I hope. Like, I've seen already one scene on a short clip. I think it was posted on Instagram or something. Where I saw, oh god, here we go again. Long story short, there is a Middle Germanic etymology for the name outside of the Olympians. Okay. There's a word for war arrows in Old Norse, heror. Well, the O is like the Turkish one. Okay. Only butchered it. Yeah, exactly. I think I'm already happy because War of the Rohirrim does not look as messy as previously. So it seems like most people, 86% currently, say, yeah, I'm looking forward for the Rohirrim. I wouldn't say like, yeah, it won't be, in my opinion, the, like I said, the biggest masterpiece in storytelling history. Okay, Schnarke. Could I only understand train station, but yeah. Wish you a good night and thank you for tuning in. Have a good night. Yeah, this guy looks like Godfrey from Elden Ring. Yeah, a little bit. Definitely. There are some similarities here. Three episodes, 30 hours of content. I'm not sure, man. I hope it won't be that long. It sounds nightmarish to cover. 3 episodes that drop at the same day. I'm happy that not all episodes drop at the same day, to be honest. Yeah, for people wondering, Philippa Boyens is writing the story for, was also on the writing team for the show. For the show, I'd say, not the show, the film, War of the Rohirrim. We'll end the poll here, chat, so had enough time to vote. Fran Welch and Peter Jackson were credited as executive producers by June 2024. The film trilogy director Peter Jackson and co-writer were not officially involved in the new film, but Boyens used them as sounding board for ideas. Okay. Oh, Philippa Boyens says in Old English, Hera means noble. Yeah, so that was also my idea. There's the word her in Old English that means noble, something like this. It's definitely possible. So maybe they kind of feminized the word by adding an A to the end. Not sure how accurate this is, but yeah, what was my idea? Hera, I think, could also mean servant, though. Whatever. Yeah, that's true. Like, the original director of The Hobbit just jumped out of the project. Oh, it's cognate with a German hair. That's funny. Yeah, potentially it was never used, but whatever. It doesn't matter too much, to be honest. It sounds not too alien compared to the other names. As a result, it works, and Tolkien has not given us the name of Helm's daughter, unfortunately. But she also admits the idea for the name Hera comes from an Icelandic actress who played a Viking. Okay, that's funny. It doesn't matter too much, though. It's okay for the most part. It doesn't look too bad. That's also I'm kind of surprised that chat here at least also is relatively positive. After reading some comments recently, I thought, okay, maybe people are angry or don't like the classical female protagonist, strong female role, whatever. Yet again, but for so far, if they can pull it off and it's well written and developed and so on, it can make sense as long as also the other characters like Hales, Hama, and Frealaf and Helm also get enough screen time and presence in the film. But we will see. Maybe at the end we will be all disappointed or something, who knows. But it has at least the potential, and the trailer that did not, at least when I looked at it, basically reduced my interest in the film immediately. It looks way better than MS Trash Fire, yeah. I mean, the Amazon trailers also are very different. Like here in this trailer, they tried to tell the story, what happened at the beginning, you can kind of go along and look at the book, and you see, these are the story points that we also find in the book. Here is Helm, here is Freka and Wolf wants to marry Helm's daughter, and then they punch each other. All these elements are already in there, so it seems like they kind of trying to stay close to that for the most part. There will some changes for sure, but I think that will work. And not only that, it's just very chronological, if that makes sense. They establish this, in the Rings of Power trailers, you have like 5,000 different pieces from all these several hours of content from all these 8 episodes cut together in very short sections. As a result, my trailer analysis for Lord of the Rings, for Rings of Power stuff, is always taking so long because we have so many little snippets of scenes fastly cut in a completely wild chronological order. It becomes very difficult to analyze those or bring them into some context and so on. Would Hild have worked for the daughter named? I'm not sure. Like, somebody in chat wrote that according to the casting information, it's not Hild, the woman next to her. It seems to be like, I don't know, the maid of this servant or whatever of Hera. Who knows? I guess it's a good point because Hera is kind of, it's a sister of the king. It's just she's a noble woman. You could argue that the woman next to Hera doesn't look like a classical noble woman of high status and so on. Olwyn, yeah, exactly. I didn't have the information when I made the analysis, so of course that makes sense. I could imagine it was just maybe a nice aunt that has a good relationship to her niece or something, but whatever. Yeah, Hunt for Gollum also might be interesting. Yeah, I think Rosemary has a good point that at the beginning, when Rings of Power was announced, we kind of had a very long phase of no Tolkien adaptations in any shape or form, and that it was the potential, if it flops, kind of that was it for quite some time for more Tolkien adaptations and so on. But now it seems like we have War of the Rohirrim, we have Hunt for Gollum, and also I think it will be 3 films then in total or something. So there's more coming. That's good. So if we don't like the show, we still have maybe some other adaptations who are hopefully then better or we like more, and so on. I still think that when it comes to Rings of Power, that we definitely, I think season 2 will be better. The question is, how much will annoy the weird decisions and changes of the writing and the showrunners in the writing room? How much will those annoy me? That's the question. There's the Hilda Brandy book, Born Bracegirdle. Always have to think of the film quote of course he suspects something. He's a Baggins, not some brick-headed Bracegirdle from Longbottom or whatever he says. Gilga, yeah. Let's not talk about this scene. So for season 2, the mindset, if you haven't seen any stuff for Rings of Power season 2, just don't think of Gil-galad as being Gil-galad. That's all I'm saying. Like, just forget about him. You will only get angry. You mean High Administrator Gil-galad? Yeah. I think I said better. Just don't think about Gil-galad in the show. Just you see him, let's pretend it's a different king that the showrunners made up. It's not the Gil-galad we like from the books, who is wise and sees into the future and he doesn't see into the future, but he knows something a mighty power is forming in the east and allies with the Numenorians early on to get the help when he needs the help and so on. He does some wise stuff. The complete opposite of that is the Gil-galad we know from the show. He's not even an elf, actually. I don't get it. There's so many things there I don't get. It's more grounded. They don't have blue, green, or purple hair. Yeah, that's true. It's really grounded. Yeah, very curious how Círdan works. I mean, there's so many characters in the show. Just by accident, they have to write a decently character. I mean, Elrond. Elrond is the only, I don't know, Lichtblick we say in German. Like he behaves like he looks at Gil-galad and Galadriel and say, "Are you kidding me? Am I in the wrong universe?" As somebody who doesn't know a lot about book Gil-galad, I can confirm it's a much better viewing experience when you don't know much about how inaccurate Gil-galad is. Yeah. I wouldn't say a complete because it has silver lining. Yeah, that's a good translation for that. But yeah, I wouldn't, like, for example, the dwarf and Elrond, Durin, Disa stuff, I think that was pretty decent. Pun not intended. That, for the most part, works. So looking forward to see more of that. Looking forward to seeing more dwarven action and so on in Khazad-dûm. That will be cool. But there are so many weird decisions in this show. I think the weirdest decision to me is, thinking about it, they already failed in the adaptation when they decided to make Eregion the only named character living there, Celebrimbor. There's like no other character who lives and is in the politics and in the society of Eregion besides Celebrimbor. Sometimes Gil-galad visits, sometimes Galadriel visits, sometimes Elrond visits. That's all characters you see there. You have some decoration characters in the background, but nobody is really doing something in Eregion. It's like a dead place. It's just, you have this massive city and nothing happens there. I think to portray what actually happens in the books, you need to add characters there. You need maybe some counterbalance to Celebrimbor. That would be in the books Galadriel, actually. But they decided to move her away from Eregion and place her somewhere else in the show for whatever reason. So he has no no character that kind of counters Celebrimbor a bit, and the decision when later Anatar shows off and shows up there. As a result, this place doesn't feel real, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It doesn't feel like a huge elven settlement city, whatever. I don't understand not being able to name that could be right stuff. If it's called Ostinivil or not, I don't care. If just the stuff is written well enough. The silver line, the Lichtblick of Rings of Power, that finally the Hobbit trilogy doesn't seem that bad at all. Yeah, kind of. I mean, I don't know, chat. I give season 2 a fair chance. I think it could be better. I hope it gets better. Because I get nothing from getting a bad show. Like, I hope it's not as terrible as the first season. I didn't like the first season. I really tried to like it, but it didn't work. There were just so many weird decisions and weird writing decisions. My biggest problem is definitely the writing there. But yeah, now it's too late, in my opinion, to establish other characters in Eregion that could kind of work. Like, I don't know. They could have made more out of this, in my opinion, and they didn't. And now they need characters that are already established and mix them into this whole Eregion plotline that is usually pretty self-contained. And then they have to draw in Gil-galad and Galadriel and Elrond, all these characters except for Galadriel, who is actually in Eregion. But they have to draw it now there to explain all these internal conflicts with creating the rings and so on. In my opinion, that doesn't work if you don't have a well-established Eregion with a lot of Eregion characters. I hope you know what I mean there. Like, the moment they decided to just let the only named and talking character of Eregion being Celebrimbor, it was a lost cause for this story, actually. No, Ostinivil is not mentioned in Lord of the Rings. At least in my copy, if I search for it, I don't find it. It's Hollin or Eregion. That are the words used for this region. The only thing it could be on the... No, it should not be on the Tolkien map as well, because it's a Third Age map and it doesn't exist in the Third Age. Reverse Game of Thrones, where things just keep getting better. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the second season will be better writing-wise than the first season, simply because the Corona stuff is mostly over, though I'm not sure how much was still when stuff was filmed. I'm not 100% sure about that. But I could imagine that the impact of Corona was much smaller on season 2. And also they now have the big story points they can work towards too. You know what I mean? The writing has now a fixated point. They don't have to establish too many things. They did this in the first season. Now they can just use what they established and do something with it. Tell a story. And I think this will be much better now in season 2. I hope it will be better. It would be like absolute failure if it doesn't get better. You might get a female protege, but then you have 2 characters. I'm just talking about like different parties, like interest. Maybe somebody in the Gwais Imirdain who opposes trusting Anatar, to have some inner conflict, and then you can maybe write, you know, some inner politics or whatever of Eregion, show how the elves are working, or like in the books, it's not that detailed, but there you have Galadriel and Celeborn, and they disagree with trusting this Anatar guy, and then you have a conflict there. And that is conflict is always interesting for storytelling. You need conflict. That's what storytelling always evolves around. Eregion has dogs now. I don't mind that they have dogs because we know there's a hound Huan or Juan. Huan, and he was also the hound of two elves, so I can see that this kind of works. This is a hound, it's kind of maybe different from a dog, but whatever. But yeah, they could have just, instead of doing all this other nonsense they did in the season 1, they could have focused to establish more characters there and to make this kind of work. And they didn't do this. And now they need, like, the help of other characters who are, like... Gil-galad has nothing to do with the rings, except for later when they find out what happened, when the One Ring is forged, then Gil-galad is basically getting involved by receiving 2 of the Rings of Power. In the show it will be completely different. I can already spoil that. Narvi will be in the show. And Celebrimbor has to become good friends with Narvi in this season. So hopefully that works. But Narvi is a character of Khazad-dûm. It's not living in Eregion. Like I said, you need different interests, or you need maybe some allies of Celebrimbor from the Gwais Ymir Dain. Maybe there's some other people influential people in Eregion, elves in Eregion, I should say, that are maybe oppose Anatar or don't trust him. Maybe they warn him, and then you have a lot of options suddenly for portraying this conflict. But for whatever reason, they decided to not do that. Yeah, maybe Celeborn might be also a surprise reveal. I still have no clue where Celeborn suddenly comes from, why he's not there. I don't get it. I also don't understand where the 1,300 years old daughter of Galadriel is. I'm not sure to get another character called Hama. Why not? I think we already saw him in the trailer. Yeah, that here to the right is Hama. This is Hales. Helm, Hera. I don't see a reason for the creators of the War of the Rohirrim to not name the children of Helm as they are called in the book. It would be very strange. Oh, Tremoxo, nice to see you. Yeah, the captain of Theoden's house guard was called Hama. Yeah. There was also the boy was called Hales or something like that, right? So the names actually appear there. I think they just looked through the books. They needed some old English names and said, yeah, here, take those names. His son is called Harles, yeah. And they both are never seen again. It's actually quite sad, I think. No, I don't think so. That will be the case, Great Revo. Yeah, yeah, Harles says I'm son of Hammer. Yeah, that is true. I mean, I could be wrong that the other person we've seen the other trailer is not Hammer, but Leaf or whatever. When she gets a young squire. Ach, no, Leaf is the small one, right? This here, I assume, is Leaf. I also wondered if it's like I don't know, either a young boy, or if he's. It would be funny if that's a Hobbit or something. That would be actually funny. A Hohlbütler. Or Rings Hammer died in the film and in the books. That's true. I want my membership to be long, like TPG's live streams. Much appreciated. Thank you, Great Gruber, for your generosity there over all these years. The story of the worm of Shasa would be a good anime. Yeah, could also make this an interesting story part. With darker hair. It's not the blonde one. Okay. I'm actually not sure if I showed you the scene. Did I show the scene with the three of them? Not sure, but this scene I meant. So yeah, here the boy to the left. Maybe that's Leaf. I'm not sure. Yes, him. Oh, okay. Him looks like an archmage. Yeah, I know what you mean. But when you know it's Helm Hammerhand, then you know you can see that as well. And the article posted on the One Ring net earlier today also lists much of the Japanese voice cast. That's interesting. I haven't looked too much into that. Yeah, Freya Lafitte Sansa is this listed here in this list. Okay, orcs might also appear. That's an interesting spoiler. There was this one scene where I thought, are these orcs? Maybe I can find it, chat. That's maybe a thing to discuss. This scene. This looks like orcs. Also foes of Gondor, by the way. I love these streams. Always feel like a gathering of friends where everyone knows that they should go home and go to bed, but nobody wants to leave. Yeah. It's also my incompetence to end the stream or stuff like that. Ah, okay. The figure here at the end. That could be an orc. Yeah, that is true. That's the scene I was looking for. Also, again, where was Gondor when the Hammerhand froze? Classic. Anime News Network posted a similar story on Friday. Oh, okay. And I'm very curious what people think. I hope the film will be good. I also hope that the Amazon show will also get better. I mean, getting worse, to be fair. That's the one thing we have to give Amazon. The show can't get worse from here. I think that's not possible. At least not without imploding the universe, in my opinion. But whatever. I know some people really like it. I know some people even say, yeah, I'm not huge into the books of Tolkien and the lore and so on. So as a result, I found the actual first season okay. And I can understand this, but for here as a channel who covers the books, as let's call us hardcore book nerds, it's the show is sometimes really tough to stomach. Like there's some changes that really hurt my Tolkien fan heart quite a bit. Please don't jinx it. I don't believe in jinxing, so I try not to. Yeah, that is true. Like the punch of Helm in the show is like here in the film, Helm Freka punches him. However, to be fair, in the book it's also like they go outside basically and deal things, and their Helm punches him dead simply. Marries an orc. I think the dialogue was not the biggest problem in the show. It was not the best dialogue ever written, to be honest. Some sections were better than others. It just that they were not able to tell a story straight, and that some of their plot devices, like the sword hilt, made no sense and were very weak payoff. And you question what that you searched for centuries for the sword hilt. And all it does is it's a key for the dam. Okay. It's just completely. It's one of the most stupidest things I've ever seen as a payoff for a device like that. Just. Careful, Chris. The showrunners might take it as a challenge. Can't get worse. I hope not. Hope the storytelling gets better, but I have confidence in writers' ability to get worse, sadly. We will see. I just remember watching these, like, I did the coverage daily, we did the streams, then after the episode came out, or later in the evening, I tried to start working on videos and so on. I just remember one of the episodes where I watched, I couldn't believe it, that I have to explain to people what absolute nonsense that is, with the mithril, for example. So, oh good. And then at the end, I completely lost it when the the 3 rings of power were created first. And thought, that was definitely what hurt most. I have the mithril story and the creation of the 3 rings of power. That was the most nonsensical nonsense I have ever seen. Like, hard to ignore. Well, that's very nice of you. Much success, Great Rebo, helping your elderly neighbors. But yeah. So they might change this here. I don't mind this too much. I think this confrontation comes from like insulting each other. Whoever starts the argument, I don't know. Hard to tell. We will see when the film comes out how this plays out in all the details. Hard to speculate just from these few edited together trailer scenes that we got. We will see what they will say. I think Philippa Boyens is pretty good at writing. Same as Fran Welch, and they're kind of involved at least, so for the film I wouldn't worry too much. I like the Wandering Days song actually. Yeah, that was pretty nice. Death metal for trolls. I'm curious how this works then in motion, like when we have the actual scenes. I heard that also the classic Tom Bombadil song will also be sung. That would be pretty cool if it's done well. The show still can't believe Like it's already hard to accept that Tom Bombadil is in the show. Too bad half-woods are generally awful characters. I still think that this this half-foot hate and hate is maybe the strong word, but you know what I mean. Let's say that people criticize the half-foots for their leaving people behind decisions are still a bit blown out of proportion. I mean, it makes no sense that the half-foots are nomads, but whatever. I mean, it kind of made sense for. I'm not sure how it is in nomad cultures with leaving people behind. Potentially not as bad, I would assume. But it was also like a strange plot point, nonetheless. I just hope that at the end we can just say, let's all forget about season 1. After that, it really starts and gets better over time. Hopefully that's the case. But we will see. In just a few days, the first 3 episodes will be out. I will have a lot to talk about then. That's true. But at least I'm happy that we see Nori and Poppy again, because I think they had a really good chemistry. I mean, yes, of course they can, but had they that many beasts and so on, they also needed to pull some of the cards themselves, right? Remembering those left behind, yeah. That was indeed a strange. Oh, nice. Andres is here. Welcome. Nice to see you. Which character from War of the Rohirrim are you most excited about? That's not Helm himself. I'm very curious how they will portray Frealaf, Hildesan. I'm curious if we will see Hild, the sister of Helm, because if the woman that's next to Hera is not Hild, then we haven't seen her yet, I think. And I'm just curious if they do anything with this character. And I'm actually curious about Hera herself. Like, what will they do with this character? Because that's a character we basically don't know. What about you, Andres, and also other people in chat? I'm also curious now thinking about it. We have seen the Japanese trailer, and there Saruman appears. Spoiler. I'm very curious what they will do with this character. Like, he's so iconic with Christopher Lee's voice. Like, who's voicing Saruman? I mean, he potentially just appears and won't have much to talk or so. So we won't hear much of him, I would assume. Maybe they also make it in a way that he doesn't talk at all and basically just cut or something. I'm very excited to see the Watcher. That's funny. Like I'm also curious what the explanation for the Watcher might be, but yeah, that will also be interesting. Hera and her siblings, yeah, I'm also curious about those. I don't know. I have to always mute the music when I do stuff like this, so I have not listened to it very much. Also, you have to keep in mind, now just listening to the music a bit, you always have to keep in mind, though, that it's never clear if this is the final music score for the stuff already or not. Sometimes they have to use placeholder music, basically. But I could imagine that they might use some of the classic Peter Jackson music here and there. That would be pretty awesome, I think. Gandalf was in the Shire during this winter, yes. And Saruman was basically around the corner, more or less. Yeah, exactly, Mark. It was a really bad winter, the long winter where Gandalf helped the hobbits. Yeah, I also love the Rohan theme. I also, one of my favorite tracks or motifs in the whole score of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films. Yeah, 12 years later, Smaug takes Erebor. That's true. That's also not far off after these events. With a young Thorin, I said how old he was at this time, 7 or something like that. Or was Balin? Balin was 7. Thorin was maybe 19. I was also very young when Smaug sex Erebor. $2,770 was that. So yeah, 12 years later. When is Thorin Oakenshield born? $2,746. He's 24 at this time. Then Balin is 6 or 7 years old. Balin is born 2763. So at this time, Balin was not born yet. 7 years, yeah. He was 7. 6 or 7. Let's look it up. It's kind of a Nordic fiddle. Yeah, something like that. So yeah, it's a very interesting time. Maybe I should have linked my video in the description, as I said, right? But yeah, I made 2 videos about this time, just in case people are interested. This one, and then what I call the prelude to the Hobbit. That's the other video. That's after the aftermath, basically, of that. Do ants lose their leaves during winter? Maybe, I don't know. What is my favorite human settlement? Yeah, I also think it's pretty cool. I agree. Especially in the Peter Jackson films, it has some magic, kind of. Always found it very interesting to see. So very excited about this. Yeah, awesome to hear. Are the most likable groups in Lord of the Rings books and movies for me. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, that's a good point by Rosemary. I think Rohan is partially so likable because it's possibly the most historical people based on real Iron Age cultures, so it feels really connected to our lands. Yeah, that's definitely true, I think. But also, like, Theoden is just an interesting character, an interesting king with a lot of tough decisions, and there's some tragedy. You have a strong female character for the most part, with Eowyn, of course. And then later everything goes together. They come and help their buddies in Gondor, in Minas Tirith, in Gondor. Later on, it's pretty epic. It's one of the most epic scenes, I think, in the whole trilogy. So I could see growing up in Minas Tirith. "11 years before the War of the Rohirrim, Bandobras Took invents the game of golf." That's also that's also true. Yeah, Grey Havens are potentially the best place to live, I guess. Minas Tirith maybe as well, to some degree. Let's say minus after the War of Elves and Sauron, then it becomes pretty safe there. Also a good point by Paul. Theoden also compares to Denethor more in the books than in the movies for me. Theoden being the kingly king and Denethor being the more stern, severe ruler. I would want to fight for Theoden. Denethor, not so much, yeah. Yeah, that's true. When Theoden dies, everyone is in tears. Meanwhile, when Denethor dies, everyone cheered. Finally, he's dead. Especially in the film, that's true. Would it not be aesthetic to look outside your balcony in Minas Tirith and see Mordor? Well, it's a good point, I guess. I always picture Círdan hanging out on the beach drinking pina coladas for most of history. Yeah. Círdan knows what's good, I think. Okay, chat. Shall we wrap it up? Because we are in for 3 hours. I said it would be a shorter stream today. I think 3 hours is a short stream for me. Do you like pina coladas? Getting caught in the rain? Yeah, good song. Will we see mounted archers? Yeah, I think for sure. There was a scene in the Japanese trailer, I think it was, where we see at least bow usage. Oh, he's not on the horse. But he had a bow, though. I think that's Hama, the son of Helm. I'm not 100% sure, though. But I think it's him. He has a bow. But he's, I think, currently not on the horse. But in theory, he could use it on the horse. Thanks, Chris. Sorry I was able to hop on to the end, but glad to check in with your streams again. No problem, Paul. Nice to have you here. And no need to excuse. I maybe could have announced it earlier. And yeah, time zones are, of course, always a pain to make it pleasant for everyone. Especially if I have to also consider my own time zone and scheduling. So yeah. But the VOD will be up, so I hope the video won't get claimed. That would be pretty awesome. I'm a bit worried about that. We see the iconic Rohan armor of the Royal Guards, or a precursor of it. Maybe a precursor, something like of it like it. It might be inspired. The Rohirrim seem to prefer short spears, javeliners, but we do see archers in the trailers. Yeah, I'm also sure somewhere was an archer. Okay, these dudes we have seen on this one hill thing might not be orcs. These guys here at least don't look like orcs. within the Japanese trailer. But yeah, chat, I would like to call it a day now, because it's late for me, I'm a bit tired, I'm hungry, all these things. The good things, basically. So as a result, yeah, I don't know. Bye everyone, bye Chris, yeah, bye Andres. Nice that you tuned in, nice seeing you. Where's the end screen? Somewhere here. I can just roll the credits. I don't have updated credits though. There might some stuff missing here. Like I said, I had not much time to prepare for the stream today. It's always a bit unfortunate. Yeah, there's one scene where we see Helm Hammerhand with a hammer. So there's that. There's definitely some purple Statima still missing on the list, but yeah, shout out to him as well. And where's my end screen thing here? So there's that. There will be, yeah, I need to update the credits at some point. Only have the credits for the video productions, they are different. It's been a pleasure. I had a stressful day. This made it better. Awesome. Nice to hear. I prefer more traditional Warhammer though, yeah. But I guess it works. It's an anime at the end of the day, so I don't expect that too much. But yeah, thank you people for watching. Also, huge shout outs to of course my list is not long enough. Wait, I have another one. It should be complete. No, it's also not complete. That's a bit unfortunate. To Adriel Outspoken, thank you, much appreciated for your generosity. And yeah, I would say have a good day. Thank you for watching. As said, you can watch this here as a VOD later if you want. If you tuned in later and found it interesting what we have to discuss here, I hope this was remotely interesting to anyone. There's also a short version of this in the form of my trailer analysis that I uploaded a few days ago. And yeah, good stream. Thank you. Much appreciated. Have a good one, everybody. Sleep well. Have a nice evening and so on. And I would say there will be, like, when the Rings of Power stuff comes out, I will work on a video, I think, first, as always, and then probably I need a day or two to complete it. I'm not 100% sure how to cover it, but I think it will also, when the trailer comes, when the episodes come out, there might be a live stream that day. So at the 29th of August. So just that you know. Maybe in the meantime, I do also something somewhere. Maybe on the German channel, I also wanted to maybe do something. I'm not 100% sure yet. It's a bit tough currently. On the games channel, there's stuff planned. I might stream some Elden Ring on my Twitch, in the German Twitch, and so on. So yeah, you will find content here. It's all in the description. Thank you again for watching, and see you people next time. Goodbye.